Hi everyone, and good morning or evening, depending on where you are right now, and welcome to this morning's webinar. My name is Anna, and on behalf of Bosch Security Systems, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. In the next 1 hour, we would like to show you how Aviotec flame and smoke detection camera enables fire detection and how our integrated AI-enabled algorithms reduce unwanted false alarms and optimize detection reliability in warehouses and logistics centers. But before we get started, some important technical information. This session will be recorded and the recording will then be available on YouTube and also on the webinar registration page. A link to the recording will be shared together with the presentation in just a few days. All audio lines are muted for better sound quality, but we do look forward to your questions via the Q&A section. You can send us your questions at any time during the presentation and we will answer them all at the end of the webinar. Our speaker today is Valeria Menezes, Aviotec Internal Sales Representative. So without further ado, Valeria, we are looking forward to your presentation and I would like to give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for this introduction. I will proceed to share my screen. Hopefully you will see it without any problem. Please let me know when you do. Yeah. So first of all, thank you for joining us on today's webinar. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where are you joining us from. We are really excited to have you here with us today. As Anna explained, I'm Valeria Menezes. I'm Inside Sales Representative for Aviotec, which is a technology that we will be sharing with you today. Also with us today are our colleagues that I will introduce later. These are the colleagues that are directly working in the region and that they will be able to provide direct support for you in case you're interested in this solution. As you know, the topic of today's webinar is how to overcome the challenges of fire safety for warehouses and logistic depots. I'm really confident that you will find the information that we will be sharing with you today useful, and I'm really eager to hear what you have to say about this innovative solution. We are always looking forward to your feedback, and we really look forward also to your questions, as Anna explained. At whatever point during the presentation, you can write it down in the chat. And also at the end of the presentation, we will have some minutes to go through your questions. Before actually starting with this technology and how it works, which is a very exciting part that I always like to talk about, please allow me to take a step back and talk first about why did Bosch decided to undertake the development of this product in the first place. And the very first thing that we did was to go to the safety managers and understood their key goals. Of course, there is no surprises here. The main priority is to ensure safety. We want to keep staff safe. We want to give people enough time to evacuate a building in case there is a fire. And this is truly the motivation that we have at the business unit of fire in Bosch. We want to save lives. However, of course, we understand that we are talking about a business. And as such, we also need to guarantee business continuity. And how we can do that? Of course, we need to ensure that both buildings and machinery are kept safe in case there is a fire, that there is a minimum damage performed to our facilities, and that we are able to keep up with our operation as regularly. However, also, we need to guarantee business continuity by minimizing any stops in our operation due to any false alarms. So this is something that we need to keep in mind. Also, we need to minimize risks in general, and of course, at all times, comply with local policies. We have here some examples of headlines around the world of certain warehouses and logistic depots that unfortunately have had fire incidents in the very recent years. As you can see here, it is well-known brands. So it is really any kind of a company, whether it's a small or a big company, whether it's a small or big warehouse, all are at risk of catching a fire and having significant loss. Some of these distribution centers had to start from scratch the reconstruction of their facilities, and this, of course, signify major financial losses. We're also talking about, of course, the interruption in our operation, the significant financial loss that this represents. But even more than that, I would say, it's also the reputation that is affected in this case. We want our customers to trust us with their operations, with their business, with their products, and we need to place and position ourselves as a company that takes this fire safety very, very seriously, and it's going to protect their stocks in the best possible way. We have identified these 3 different areas in which there is a higher risk of fire in the warehouses and logistic depots. Of course, we have the flammable materials, not only because of the cardboard packaging, which is, of course, the most common, and also because it contains the glues that is created with chemicals. But also some of these packages might contain some hazardous materials. We do not know. This is a high fire load. On the other hand, we have the constant warehouse structure and activity that is in constant movement. You know this better than I do. This is your day-to-day life, whether it is a warehouse where we have people constantly moving around, or we have automatized robots that are constantly moving around. There is an important risk of collision here, and in this case, a fire can be occasionated. There is also the forklifts that are also constantly moving around, and they also represent a risk. Moreover, some packages that are stuck in high stacked shelves might also fall over and create some kind of fire incident. And let's not forget about one of the most challenging characteristics of warehouses, which is the very high ceilings that we have in this kind of facilities. And lastly, the outdoor storage areas in which we might have some material stuck as well, whether it is some packages or some other kind of materials. This is the high stack shelves that is going to create this kind of wind tunnels or chimney effect, if you will, that unfortunately, once a fire starts here, it's going to spread really, really quickly. And more often than not, we have these kind of outdoor or semi-open storage spaces right besides our indoor facilities. So there is a high risk of once a fire starting here, also spreading to our indoor warehouse. And of course, last but not least, the risk of arson by intruders overnight. So this is an overview of the fire safety situation in the warehouses. Now, let's take a look at the current status of the fire detection industry. We have several solutions for fire detection, and they work very well. Bosch has quite a robust portfolio in that regard. However, they work very well for the spaces that they were designed for. And we have certain very specific challenges that are requiring a specific solution in the warehouses and logistic industry. I'm talking about a high fire load, as we already mentioned. And what does this really mean? It means that due to the high fire load, once a fire starts, it's going to be really, really difficult to control it if we do not detect it on time. And the traditional fire detection systems simply take too long to identify a fire. We know that these traditional fire detection systems are placed in the ceiling, and they need to wait for the smoke to travel all the way to the top in order to activate an alarm. We are talking about very valuable minutes that, as you know, is something that we cannot afford to spend in case of an emergency. We want to ensure a very early detection so that we can act immediately and avoid any further damage to our facilities and our machinery. On the second hand, we have a difficult environment. And what we mean by this is that we have an ever constant environment. We have also the very high ceilings that we mentioned before. And also, let's not forget that these traditional fire detection systems that, as I mentioned before, are placed in the ceiling require a constant maintenance effort. We need to allocate resources in order to get to these systems and to give a proper maintenance. Of course, this means sometimes stopping our operation in order to install a scaffold or whatever, a crane that we need to access these systems in order to provide the proper maintenance. As we will see in the next slides, even if we have a properly maintained system, this does not guarantee that we will have an alarm in case there is a fire, which is another risk. And lastly, we have the outside storage areas in which, as we know, due to the climate conditions, we simply cannot rely, not only not rely, but we cannot install any kind of traditional fire detection system. So these spaces are completely unprotected and prone to fires. Here is where Bosch wants to suggest to you Aviotec as a fire solution to enhance safety when we cannot rely simply on a traditional fire detection system. This is the product that we are talking about today. And let's take a closer look at how Aviotec compares to other fire detection systems. As you can see, we have here the graph of how fire develops over time. And as it is natural, we will have much more smoke as time goes by, also as flames. We want, and let me emphasize this once again, because what we want, and it might seem very obvious, but we want to have a very, very early detection system that allows us to act immediately to activate our safety protocol in case there is a fire, so that we can control it much easier. In the case of traditional fire detection systems, usually, even when we have a room that is full of smoke, sometimes this smoke is not able to go all the way to the ceiling in order to activate the alarm. This is because of the stratification effect. We have these hot pockets of hot air in which they simply do not allow the smoke to cross this barrier and reach the ceiling and reach the detectors that are installed in this area. So again, even if we have even if we have a room already full with smoke and a functioning and well-maintained fire detection systems, it might not trigger an alarm. And here, as we can see, this is a graph. However, it does reflect the results that we have done in our lab, our fire laboratory in Germany. And here we can see how Aviotec is 3 times faster than current aspiration smoke detectors. And this is what we want. This is the kind of fast reaction that we want to ensure in our facilities to protect our operations and our stock and our customers. Let's dive into some specific use cases. We have mentioned before, one of the most challenging conditions are the very high ceilings. As we can see here, this is the most common characteristic along this kind of warehouses and logistic depots. And the main difference, the main advantage that Aviotec offers is the capability to identify both flames and smoke within seconds. This is because the detection occurs directly at the source, at the very early signs, visual signs of fire, independently of the height of the space that we are protecting. This is going to give us the decisive time advantage that we want in order to act immediately. On the other hand, we have a continual stock changes, a very flexible system that is going to allow us to have this practicality in our operation. And we want a system that accompanies this kind of flexibility. Aviotec is a reliable fire detection systems that cover vast areas, but moreover, it is customizable. We're going to be able to set the settings according to our operation, depending on we have much more movement during the daytime, as it is more usually the case, than during the nighttime. And of course, also different operation during the weekends than during the weekdays. So this kind of customization possibility is going to help us have a system that is much more aligned with our specific needs. We have also mentioned these outdoor or semi-open spaces, like we call them. Usually we have some kind of ceiling, and this is the only thing that protects from the climate conditions our stock, our merchandise. And in this case, we can also use Aviotec. This is the only solution that can be used in this kind of scenarios. And we have here an additional advantage. Aviotec comes with a integrated housing that is going to be very, very easy to maintain. So forget about it. Forget about the allocated resources you need for a traditional fire detection system. Aviotec requires a minimum maintenance effort. And this is very important because when we are analyzing and comparing and considering to acquire a fire detection systems, we need to consider not only the acquisition price of the system, of course, the installation price, but also the total cost of ownership of this system. And here it comes a big difference when we are talking about this very, very low maintenance effort that we will need to support Aviotec with. But when we talk about outdoor detection or detection in outdoor areas, we are talking about a reliable fire detection areas. So Aviotec functions even in really low light and nighttime conditions. Aviotec is able to identify, again, both flames and smoke, even in complete darkness. We are talking about zero lux, a darkness that even with our bare eye, we might not be able to identify a fire beginning. This is really crucial because, of course, this kind of warehouses and logistic depots might have these kind of conditions. And we have here a reliable system at any point of the day. To sum up a little bit what we have seen up until now, Aviotec is a good solution for storage and logistic facilities because it's an extremely early fire and smoke detection system that is going to give us a decisive advantage in case of acting quickly and to avoid a fire from spreading further and damaging our systems, our facilities, our operations, and consuming our stock. It is a flexible solution that is going to adapt to our particular needs, to our particular operations. It is the fast and reliable solution for detection in the outdoors. And we are very confident about this product because it has been successfully implemented in warehouses and depots around the world as chosen by the safety managers. Now let's move on to the second part of the presentation, where I will be talking about how the camera works. So Aviotec is a visual analyzation tool. This means that the camera on itself, without the need of any additional device, no external server, no license, it is the camera on itself through the intelligent algorithms that are integrated into it that is going to analyze the scene in real time directly at the source. Okay, I will explain a little bit better in the next slide how it is able to identify the presence of flame and smoke. But as of now, allow me to talk to you a little bit about how you can connect Aviotec into your system. So here you actually have two possibilities. You can treat Aviotec as a traditional fire detection system and connect it directly to the fire alarm panel. Of course, having the possibility to have a visual alarm, a sound alarm, to have also a notification in your mobile phone so that you can act immediately in case there is a fire. But what we recommend, what we strongly recommend, is taking the most out of the fact that we are talking about a video camera so that we can actually see the footage in real time. So we can connect it to the video management system. More often than not, these kind of companies, the companies that you work for, already have some kind of CCTV or video surveillance system in place. Aviotec can easily be installed within this existing infrastructure, so we do not need to create one from scratch. This video management system can be Bosch, I would say ideally, but it can also be other brands like Genetec, Milestone, the most well-known brands in the market. We have a full integration with it through the ONBIF protocol. Why is this so important? Of course, with this connection to the VMS, we will have also the possibility to have the visual, the sound alarms, but we will also have the possibility to receive in our mobile phone a screenshot of exactly what the camera is capturing at the moment when an alarm has been triggered. This will allow us to identify right away exactly where the fire is starting and, of course, take immediate measures. Also very important here is the insurance companies. I'm very sure that you are, some of you at least have already had some conversations with your insurance companies regarding enhancing the fire safety in your facilities. And the insurance companies really appreciate this kind of information, of visual information, where they can, which they can use to do a root cause analysis after an incident. So of course, this is also useful for you. You are going to be able to study and analyze why the fire started and how we can prevent it from happening again. Now, let's dive into how the camera is actually able to identify the fire. In this next slide, we are seeing an image of the inside of the camera. And what it does, Aviotec, from the image or the video stream that it is collecting, it will create a pre-processed data. This is a compression process that it's called concatenation. And it's going to initiate an input stream that will go through the neuronal network. And through its algorithms, it will determine if there is a flame or smoke in the field of view or not. So this is very roughly and very essentially the deep learnings in works. The verification time could be between 4 and 30 seconds. But this is all very theoretical. I would like to show you some videos of Aviotec in action instead. In this very first video, we see this is our laboratory in Ottobrunn, Germany. And in this first video, we see the flame being created. This is an ethanol flame, so we do not have any kind of smoke. You can find it very interesting, this kind of setting. Just this is because we are having the most challenging detection setting. So we have a very intense lightning also, and we have the orange background, which creates little contrast with the flame that is being created. As you were able to see, the alarm was activated within the first 23 seconds. This is in a color mode settings of the camera. And now we will see how the camera also operates in black and white mode or monochrome mode, in this case, detecting smoke. This is a video that we've done where we can see a very real situation where a worker is doing some activity in our facility, and then he's gone for the day, he turns off the light, and this is what we see, almost complete darkness in this space. This is what the camera sees through its infrared lighting, integrated infrared lighting. And here we can see how the camera has already identified the presence of smoke in the field of view. We have first a pre-alarm, and after some seconds, we have the verification time and the alarm on itself. And lastly, the third video that I want to share with you today is the detection in outdoor environments. It might not be so clear, but we are actually quite far away from the fire, from the flame starting. We are 52 meters away. And as we can also see, there is significant wind in this case, as we can see the smoke moving to the left and also the plants moving around a bit. The first alarm that we see in the screen is the alarm that has been activated due to the presence of the flame. In this case, we did it 23 seconds. And then a second alarm being triggered in parallel at the same time by the presence of smoke, in this case, black smoke. A bit to sum up what we've seen regarding how the camera works. So we are talking about this deep learning artificial intelligence directly analyzing the video image. The minimum illumination level had been reduced to 1 lux for the color mode, and it is automatically switching to 0 lux in the monochrome mode through its integrated IR illuminator. Again, the reason why so many safety managers and so many companies, not only in the logistics industry, but other industries also, have chosen Aviotec is because of this very well developed and very robust algorithm that has a higher sensitivity and more robustness against false alarms. These companies have identified the need to have an additional protection that really is not about complying with what is needed, but it's really going to give them the time advantage that they need to act quickly and to save their business in case there is a fire. So lastly, let me talk a bit about some of these success stories that we have. This is a case that I really like talking about. This is a cardboard factory in Latin America, in Chile, to be precise. And as I was mentioning, the situation with the insurance companies, in this case, the insurance company was requesting the warehouse to enhance the fire safety in this place. They were therefore asking not only to install sprinklers in the ceiling, but also in each and every level of the warehouse shelves. As you can imagine, this is completely unfeasible. This was not really an option for the cardboard factory because it was quite a heavy financial investment. But even more than that, it did not allow the kind of flexibility that they needed in order to do their operation in a more practical way. These systems were going to have to be moving around and eventually they would have broken down. This is where we suggested Aviotec as an alternative. Of course, they could use it to monitor all of these spaces without any significant investment in the infrastructure. And in this case, it was a win-win situation. The insurance company approved the solution, and of course, they were able to retain their customer. On the other hand, the cardboard factory was able to continue with their insurance. And of course, we were quite pleased that Aviotec was the right fit in this case. There are many specific situations, as I say, of course, we are talking about a very general situation in the logistics and warehouses, but more and more often we see these automatic warehouses where we only have robots operating. And we have charging stations for these robots that might need additional fire monitoring, because at least in the case of this customer, it was the biggest fire source in their warehouse. So this is what Aviotec offers, the possibility to be customizable to your specific needs, depending on your particular operations. So this is what I had to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you want to know more about this product, if you want to schedule a demo in your facilities, you can contact us. Here are my contact details in the bottom, but also my colleagues' contact details that we have here today, Satish Kumar and Man Ganam, that are responsible for these different countries in the region. Please feel free to reach any of us in case you have any questions. And I think now it is also the moment to go through the Q&A in this case.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for your presentation, Valeria. So as you said, we will move on to the Q&A part of your session. So please feel free to write any of your remaining questions in the Q&A box on the corner. Yes, and as Valeria said, we also have the presence of local Bosch colleagues from the Middle East that also have lots of knowledge and are happy to answer any questions you may have. Yes.
So I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can actually take a look at the incoming questions. Okay, Q&A. So here is a interesting question is regarding the how much coverage we have with this camera. And this, of course, adds as certain other things, depends on 3 parameters. It's going to depend on the height at which we install the camera. It's going to depend on the angle And this is going to be, of course, determined according to the specific space that we want to surveil. In this case, the camera, just to have a notion, can protect up to 60 meters. And in these 60 meters, we are able to identify a 50 centimeter wide flame. So this is the case. So here we are also having a second question. Can the new Aviotec detect smoke in open areas? So I'm really glad that some of you are already familiarized with this product. Effectively, we have promoting this product for quite some years. Now, in the next few weeks, we're going to be launching the new generation or the latest generation of the camera, Aviotec 8000i IR, and it has quite some improvements compared to the last versions of the camera. Indeed, the Aviotec, both generations, let's say, can detect smoke in semi-open spaces. And I think this is a crucial difference that we need to clarify. We do not recommend Aviotec for completely open areas, so we do not encourage it to be in landfills, for example, or in the woods, but it is an ideal solution for, as I mentioned, semi-open areas where we have some kind of protection, whether it is a ceiling or it is right besides a facility, so we have actually a wall. And yes, we can explore that further. In this case, I also want to mention that Aviotec, being a new technology, it requires a analysis, and it is most preferable to have an in situ appointment with our specialists, that they can go visit the site and really understand the specific needs that your space has, so that they recommend the best design proposal for that space. Okay, this is of course something that is done with all fire detection systems, but I insist much more with Aviotec, as it is such a disruptive technology. I don't see any more questions, so maybe I would give the opportunity to my colleagues to introduce themselves, so that they are also already known to our participants today. So Satish, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you. It's an excellent presentation. Hi, this is Satish here. I'm sitting in Dubai office supporting Middle East market. So if any kind of queries are there, please reach me out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Satish.
Valeria. Yeah.
So hi,
hi,
please.
Valeria. Hi, Valeria. Very nice presentation indeed. A lot of good information for the attendees who have attended over here. And to add to your presentation, yes, we have a design tool app also, where we can, before going to the site or getting all the details of the site, we can design the solution in one of the VFD format. Okay, so this is one thing. And my name is Zohaib Sayed, to be known. I'm an application design engineer working in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and taking care of the Middle East market. So any kind of queries related to fire alarm system or Aviotec, you can anytime reach to me.
This is great. Thank you, Sohaib. This is really important. Aviotec offers this service as part of their offering. So we actually do this design proposal. Of course, this is included in the price of the Aviotec.
Yes.
So I don't see any more questions for the moment. If you have any other questions at a later stage, please feel free to contact us. As of now, I will share again my screen so that I can, Ana Luisa, if you want to, yeah.
Thank you so much, Valeria. So as you mentioned, we are now officially at the end of today's webinar. But before we close the session, we would really appreciate your feedback on the presentation. So you would only need your mobile phone, so please scan this QR code and take a small survey on Mentimeter for us, so we know how you find the presentation. And I guess that's it for today. Thank you all so much for coming, and see you again soon.